All right, we are good to go.
All right, perfect. It is 3:01 p.m. on April 23rd, and I'm excited to call our last meeting of the academic year to order. So we're going to start today with introduction since we have a lot of new faces that some of you probably haven't seen before. So we can just start. I'll call the order based on how it is on my screen for introductions. So we can start with Andrew, if you want to go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrew Wilson with the City of Oxford Community Development Department.
And then Prue.
I'm Prue Dana, and I represent the League of Women Voters, who's very community oriented, and I'm the community person, one of the community people.
Zoe.
Hi, I'm Zoe Douglas. I am a senior at Miami and the president of Diversity Affairs Council.
Connor.
Hi, I'm Connor. I'm a junior business econ major, currently an off-campus senator in ASG and the incoming secretary for off-campus affairs.
Laura.
Laura Fenning. I'm a lieutenant with Oxford PD. In plain clothes today, at home.
I didn't
Jill?
recognize you. Your hair is different. I didn't recognize you.
And then Jill.
Hi, my name is Jill. I'm a dietetic intern. I'm interning with Amy for the next 2 weeks here, and I'm a grad student at Miami.
Casey.
Hi, I'm Casey Frazee Katz with Women Helping Women. I'm the director of Butler County and Campus Services.
And then Kathy.
Hi, I'm Kathy McVeigh, and I am a community resident.
Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy Masechko. I'm with the Talawanda School District and the Coalition for a Healthy Community here in the Oxford area.
Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Schottler. I'm a PhD candidate in English at Miami. I represent the Graduate Student Association, and my term is actually ending in June, so this might be my last meeting, which makes me sad.
And then Dr. Large.
Hi, everyone. I am Steve Large. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Health and Wellness here at Miami in the Division of Student Life, and I'm also a proud resident of Oxford.
Rebecca.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Baudry-Young, and I am the Director for the Office of Student Wellness at Miami University.
Then Steve.
I guess you mean me, Steve Schnabel. I'm the Executive Director at Oxford Seniors and a resident member of this commission. I've lived in town for 35 years.
Jonathan.
Hi, everyone. My name's Jonathan. I'm a junior finance and accounting student at Miami.
And Josephine.
Hi, I'm Josephine. I'm a senior Miami student and community member and also president of Sigma Lambda Gamma National Sorority Incorporated.
Lena.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lena. I am on SCRC as the International Student Representative, and I'm also the next president of DAC as well. So I'll probably be on here for next year as well.
And then last but not least, we have Sidra.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, my camera's not on. I just got my second dose, so I'm a bit under the weather. My name is Sidra Capriolo, and I'm a student representative on SCRC.
Awesome. And that's everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. It's really exciting to see you all. So with that, I will take a motion to approve of the agenda for today, but I will also take a motion to reorder new business item A, so that to be respectful of Dr. Large's time today for joining us, and then to also reorder new business B to right after that, since Casey's joining us today as well.
I move the adoption of the agenda with the 2 adjustments that Emily has suggested.
I second.
All right, there's been a motion to reorder new business item A and then B to now, and it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And all opposed? All right, the motion passes. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Large today. Thank you again, Dr. Large, for joining us. We're really excited to have you.
Well, thank you, Emily. Hello, everyone. Thank you for reordering the business as well. I appreciate that. I didn't necessarily prepare any remarks other than I could share a couple few data points that might be interesting for you all, specifically about the vaccine. But really, I was hoping that I could just answer whatever questions people might have. Does that sound okay?
Perfect.
So Miami, in terms of the vaccine, we have distributed the vaccine to both faculty, staff, and to our students over the course of several different clinics. We have one remaining clinic yet this semester, next week on April 27th. That's a 2-dose vaccine, which means the second dose will be after finals week. So we're assuming that students that sign up for this particular dose on the 27th will be nearby or able to get back to the campus area for their second dose. We've administered over 3,000 doses that we know of to students. I say that we know of because we also know that other students are getting vaccinated outside of Miami, and we ask them to report that, but it's certainly not required. So our data is a little imperfect there. And we know that we vaccinated about 1,800 faculty and staff. And again, that's an imperfect number because we're also relying on self-report. We are thinking about the fall, obviously, and are really knee-deep in planning around what does the fall look like in terms of testing for COVID, and also in terms of offering continued vaccine clinics as well for COVID. So no definite decisions have been made in that regard, but we are in it in terms of the planning. Probably the most common question that seems to be raised, that my guess is you're all thinking, is will we require the vaccine in the fall? And right now, the most consistent message is no. It's quite difficult to do so legally until the vaccine is FDA approved, but that is not something that we plan to do. That could always shift, as anything can in COVID world, but right now that's our current position. I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Large. Does anyone have any? Zoe, go ahead.
Hello, thank you for coming. So I guess my question related to the vaccine. So for students that are self-reporting, is there a easy way for us to push that information out? I know I've also seen like different things, some places. I didn't know if like fully vaccinated necessarily means like you have to wait the 2 weeks until after. That's what I assumed, but I wasn't sure if like that's clear to students as well.
It's a really excellent question, Zoe, and it's good to see you again too. So students can share their vaccine records through MedProctor, and that's the same software system that manages all other immunizations that are required for students. A student can choose to submit their COVID vaccine to MedProctor at any point, whether it's their first dose, their second dose, or 2 weeks after their second dose. I will say though that for students that are interested in being exempt from testing based on their COVID vaccine, the exemption doesn't start until 2 weeks past your final dose. But the MedProctor system tracks that for us electronically. So that's why I said you can submit it whenever you'd like. Is that helpful to answer your question? Good. Okay, good.
Megan, go ahead.
Thanks for being here, Dr. Large. I was wondering, is there a benefit to the university of logging on and recording your first dose, or is it really just important to know, if everyone is fully vaccinated?
It's another great question, Megan. Thank you. I would argue, this is only my perception, but I would argue that it is helpful to know sooner than later, even if it is just your first dose, because we're knee deep in planning right now and trying to determine what our testing plans might entail, which could be partially contingent upon the number of folks that are vaccinated. And we're also trying to determine vaccine clinics that we might need in the fall. So having access to even just knowing students that have already had their first dose, that implies that they're likely going to get their second, and that helps with our current planning.
Does anyone else have, oh, Zoe, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, another one. So this is a little bit more specific, and there may not be an answer yet, but I know there's been talk of like needing boosters eventually for the vaccines. Is that something that Miami, do you think, would have on campus, like either through student health services or like clinics long term? Do you see that potentially being a thing?
I do potentially see it being a thing, and I would imagine that Miami would offer that in partnership with Tri-Health. But there's certainly, it's hard to say with any kind of definitive response, but just based on the strong partnership that Miami has with Tri-Health and just our ability to offer the clinics that we have, I would imagine that would just continue on with the boosters if or when those become needed. So,
awesome, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Does anyone else have a question?
There are plenty of slots left for the clinic on the 27th as well. So if you yourself or if you have peers that might be looking to be vaccinated, please ask them to sign up. It would be with Pfizer is the dose that we have access to.
Yeah, Zoe, go for it.
Can we ask like non-vaccine related questions?
Of course, heck yeah.
Okay. So content warning, stalking NSIV. So I know there have been a lot of concerns about safety, especially among students that have become even more like intense and severe recently, and just more widespread about stalking and assault happening both on and off campus, and like multiple incidents of the same couple individuals that I guess people have had concerns with. And I was just wondering, like, what sorts of resources are your offices providing that we could refer students to? And is there anything else being like looked into, especially given that there's been some talk about additional concerns tomorrow?
A really good question and an important question. And we're really fortunate to have in this virtual room with us two experts on this particular topic, Rebecca and Casey. I'll share a little bit about my own perception or thoughts, and then certainly would welcome Casey or Rebecca to fill in as well. Zoe, I'm not sure if you're referencing this, but I'm assuming that you might be, that there's been this report that there's this menacing individual or two that's chasing female identified students in the evening hours. And I don't have any firsthand knowledge of this, but I do know that I've talked with some colleagues who have talked with MUPD. My understanding is that MUPD has talked with students about this, but no student that's been directly implicated or followed by this particular individual. So at this point, it's all second, third, fourth hand reports, which then makes the investigation process that much more difficult. Now that said, my understanding is MUPD are, upping their surveillance, but I think what we're really hoping for is that a student that's been directly involved in this would come forward and share their experience, and that would ideally help then with the investigation. So at this point right now, it's all speculative because it's all second, third, fourth hand information. That said, even with it being speculative, it's still, my guess would be, causes concern and worry, particularly if someone's already carrying trauma with them, pre-existing trauma. And so the good news is that there are so many services available on and off campus for our students, particularly our student survivors, both at student counseling and student wellness, and then with our partners, such as Women Helping Women with Casey. So I'm gonna hit pause and let Rebecca maybe share a little bit about, from her department, what SIV resources looks like.
Thank you, Steve. So, in advance of this weekend, in response to some of the rumors that have been going around, we have been amplifying our messages on social media about bystander intervention. And so reminding folks the skills that if they see something, how they can intervene in safe ways, and, kind of enhance this culture of care and concern that we have for each other. So that's an important thing. all of our students on campus have had an access to bystander intervention training. So we're hoping that this is an opportunity for students to remember those skills that they learned in the fall. We also are going to be hosting a number of events throughout. Actually, we've been doing so throughout the month of April, which is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So I encourage students to check out either on My Miami or on the university calendar or in lots of other social media with affiliated partners, that there's a number of events that they can get involved with just to raise awareness around sexual and interpersonal violence on campus. And Casey, I assume you might have more response-oriented information, so I'll turn it over to Casey.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so it sounds like certainly with whatever it is that has been going on, and then with some of what's been going on around social media about what is talked about for tomorrow, I would just urge people to exercise caution. I in no way want this to sound victim blaming. This is just a very strange, this is a strange event. Where people are trying to call on other people to become perpetrators and attack strangers. So it's just something that people have to be additionally vigilant and ideally use your resources. Women Helping Women is a 24-hour crisis agency, so certainly we're happy to help support in any way that we can. If, heaven forbid, someone is harmed this weekend, we also respond to the hospital 24/7, so we can support survivors in that way. I noticed there's not a chat. I was going to put our campus cell phone number that people can call or text, so I can just say that out loud. And if there's some way for that information to be passed along, that would be great. The number is 513-846-8402. And I actually am carrying that phone right now. So people are welcome to text if they need any kind of support or resources, and certainly take care this weekend.
Yeah, and then I can send a follow-up email after SCRC with that number as well, Casey. And Andrew, go ahead.
So you used an acronym that I'm not familiar with, SIV. Can you explain that a little bit more? Because I don't know that that would be well known beyond the campus.
Yes, so my apologies, Andrew. I'm so glad you're asking. So that's relatively common lingo in the collegiate wellness world, but it stands for sexual and interpersonal violence. So it's a way of really trying to quickly and easily capture the unfortunate different types of violence that exist.
Steve, go ahead.
So I'm trying to process all of this as a resident, having not heard anything that I'm aware of. Are you telling me that somehow through social media, there are students or others who are encouraging residents of town to attack other people?
See, what's being mentioned is on a national scene, not a local scene. So It's not any identified Miami students at this point that this call for perpetration to occur tomorrow is on a national social media platform like TikTok videos and stuff. It is not isolated to Oxford, Ohio, or anything. It's just, think of the broad internet world. So it's not an immediate or pending threat in our area.
I'm glad you made that clear, because I was wondering what's going on.
Yes, apologies for the confusion on that.
Well, and I've got to say, I think this is from my perspective as a longtime resident with little or no connection to the university, this is the kind of information that obviously has great concern on campus and amongst you in administration, but I don't see any effort of the university to inform the community about it. Yeah, and I wish this were a university community board rather than just a student community board, because I think the university administrative representatives discount this as a great communications methodology. Even to the point of when I've asked to join the parents information group as a grandparent, I was declined. And I explained my involvement with this committee. And I think it's very important that we who are representing the residents of the community understand the messaging that the university is putting out to clients and staff. And I'll stop my sermon.
All right, Zoe, go ahead.
I just wanted to add too, so that's like the national piece, and that's more social media, and less like there's less like hard evidence or anything that's really occurred yet, as far as I know. But I've had multiple students come to me and said they either witnessed or they had friends who witnessed or were chased by a man either uptown, or I think there were some cases over by Gaslight, and then by McCracken in the rec. Like following students, yelling at students, kind of threatening students, chasing them, that kind of stuff. I had one friend that said he was with two women, and as soon as the man like heard his voice and realized there was a guy there, he went away, but like intended, it appeared, to chase the friends.
Thanks, Zoe, for that information. I would encourage your friends who had any kind of encounter to please report it to Miami Police Department or Oxford Police Department. At this time, there are 0 reports to the police of any kind of encounter. So I want to make that clear too, that if there was a report made to Miami Police, there would be a clearly timely warning that would be issued so that all students would know of any pending danger that would be posed to students on campus or in the campus area. So because there has not been any police report to Miami Police Department about an event, therefore no timely warning can go out. We have to have a report, right? So if you had friends that had that experience, please circle back with them and encourage them to contact the police so that we can have some information.
That's really helpful to know, because everyone I've talked to, I think, assumed that the university was aware of it, and like they themselves maybe didn't necessarily feel comfortable reporting, but like thought that it was already kind of more on people's radars. So that's really, thank you.
All right, does anyone else have any more questions for Dr. Large?
I had a follow-up comment actually to my fellow Oxford resident, Steve, who has a great first name. I think the very nature of this group and its membership, which includes Scott Walter, an administrator, and Rebecca Bowder-Young, an administrator from Miami, actually speaks to the exact concern that you raised about there being a shared mutual communication line between the university and the community. So I was a little perplexed by your comment, and I'll just say that.
All right, does anyone else have anything? All right, I'm not seeing any hands, so last call. All right, well, with that, thank you, Dr. Large, for being here. We really enjoyed having you.
Thanks, my friends. Good to be with you all. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well.
Thank you.
All right, and then with that, we will turn it over to Casey, following along with our new business item B. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to her.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and good to see you all today. So I thought I would talk just a little bit about Women Helping Women for those who may not be familiar, and also about Sexual Assault Awareness Month. As someone mentioned, that month is April. So we've had many events across campus. Across campus in a very virtual way. We've had some virtual events and also social media things that have been happening. And we had a fundraiser last night at Chipotle. So in case anyone was supported that, yes, thank you. I see Megan. Megan's a Women Helping Women volunteer. So thank you. So a little bit about Women Helping Women, especially if you're not familiar. So we're a 24/7 crisis intervention agency. We have existed in this area of Ohio since the 70s, and we specifically have been in Butler County and working with Miami for about 10 years, I think nine or so years at this point. And we've had on-campus advocacy starting in 2016. So we collaborate with the university. Our advocates are confidential. So with the nature of the relationship, that we have is more collaborative and partnership, so that our advocates can remain that confidential source, since other members of the campus community are mandated reporters for those incidents of maybe sexual or interpersonal violence. So we support people through our hotline, through hospital response. We can help people with the court process and or any steps that would follow the hospital. So if someone has had a forensic kit after an exam for sexual assault or maybe other injuries due to domestic or interpersonal violence, we can help them with those next steps. So tracking the kit, getting connected to criminal resources. So if the incident, depending on where the incident happened, getting them connected with law enforcement appropriate for that jurisdiction. We can also help with protection orders. So if someone's looking for that support, we have advocates who are at Butler County Domestic Relations Court Monday through Friday to help with those filings. We also have individual supports right now during COVID. That's mostly virtual. As I mentioned, we do have that. We have a campus cell phone. It just seems easier for students to tend to be able to text, so students can get connected that way. Usually, we have space available in our offices in Warfield that advocates can meet with folks, and when that's safe, that will happen again. We also have support groups. Our agency itself covers Hamilton, Butler, Brown, and Adams counties. So right now our groups are across all counties just because of the nature of the pandemic. So I think those are sort of our services in a nutshell. And then with April, so April Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So we've had several events. Just this week, we had a Thrive Empowerment Self-Defense course that was taught online. And we had a decent turnout for that. I think there were about 20 folks who joined, so that was nice. And then we had the Chipotle fundraiser. We've been doing some things on social media. Typically we have an event this time of year, but again, with the pandemic, that shifted a little bit for us. I think that's our agency in a nutshell. We also do prevention work. We work with Rebecca and her office on different prevention programming across campus. Around flags. We work with the Greek community, Student Life, other organizations. We are very lucky to have many Miami volunteers and interns who work with us as well. So certainly for those of you who are students or know people who are students who might be interested with internships, or anyone is able to volunteer, they don't necessarily need to be a student. We have and have had community members who are volunteers. So that's what I have. I wanted to see if there are questions or clarifications about anything that I shared.
Yeah, thank you, Casey, so much for being here. If anyone has a question, feel free to raise your hand. Kathy, go ahead.
I'm curious, the commission supported a letter that was going to local bar owners to hopefully adopt the training for the bar staff to be aware and to be supportive and help move women out of situations where they're in immediate danger. What's the status of that initiative?
That's a great question. And actually we had and I don't know, are you related to Nora McVeigh?
Yes, she's my daughter.
Yeah, so Nora McVeigh was our very first Miami advocate in 2016. So I wondered, I thought, yeah, so Nora, gosh, we have been working on bar training advocacy for quite a while, starting with Nora. So at this point, so I'm trying to rewind a little bit, we, to be honest, have faced a little bit of pushback from some of the bars. For those of you who are familiar, that probably is not surprising information. We have had lots of students who have been staff at the bars who have worked to try to advocate. Things may move forward a little bit, and then that student maybe graduates and moves on, and then the bars kind of go back to, and I don't know that we're interested in that. So we are continuing to try to advocate in the ways that we can. There was a bar, I believe 1848, that was interested to be able to host the training. And then that was, I think, right around the beginning of the pandemic last year, that things shut down. So it's something that I'm hopeful, depending on how the fall looks, that we're able to circle back to. I think if we can get that good sort of foothold bar, that we might be able to expand from there. But we have just faced quite a bit of pushback, which has been very different from the work that we've done with other bars who tend to welcome this information and want to have that training for their staff to try to support their patrons. Yeah. Yeah. And we appreciate your support to try to get some of these efforts to move forward. It's just been a little bit stickier than we expected. Yeah, Steve?
Yeah, Steve, go ahead. Oops.
Have you considered trying to work through the Chamber of Commerce, assuming that many of the bar owners might be chamber members too? And that the chamber is representing a larger group of us, and maybe even the Enjoy Oxford group, our visitors bureau. Because I'm thinking that if we maybe get some other businesses or other business owners applying some peer pressure, it could be advantageous.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if there's, we had, I believe they were with the city of Oxford. There was a Miami student who was interning with the city of Oxford, I think this semester, who had reached out, or maybe that was in the fall, had reached out about ways that we can try to move things forward, and maybe what does that look like with legislation for the city. You know, I'd imagine, I don't own a bar, but I'd imagine if I owned a bar, this is maybe a liability program that I'm taking on training to ensure, essentially like similar to what bar owners or any place that serves alcohol has to do, a serve safe program. So that's usually when I try to talk about this or pitch this, I talk about it in that way. So that's a great suggestion. I had not thought about that with the Chamber of Commerce or Enjoy Oxford. That's a new group to me. So I appreciate the thoughts on that. Yeah.
Does anyone else have a question?
Thanks for the work you do. I've been aware of Women Helping Women for quite some time. I used to run a United Way agency in Cincinnati 100 years ago, it seems. But, you know, I'm so glad you're around.
Oh, thank you so much for the support.
I'll second Steve's kudos. It's a great organization and good to know that it's available.
Yeah, Zoe.
She must get advocacy started at Miami. Yeah.
I was just gonna second too. I think Steve's approach, like from everything I've heard, I think like student government hasn't really looked into that, like either when they were doing this before it was kind of a collaborative effort. So I think that could be potentially effective. It's worth giving it a shot, I guess.
It's always worth a try. You know, I think because we've looked at different angles, and the training is something that costs money. We've had grants at certain times that provided that training. I don't think that it's a financial issue. I really think it's a culture issue. Yeah. So it's just going to take a little bit more strategizing and just still pushing forward. So I appreciate those suggestions. And we've worked pretty closely with student government over the years, and they've always been really supportive of these types of efforts. So it's just making sure that those can continue forward, and good idea, Steve, with just engaging more business owners as well. Yeah.
All right.
I should also, in case there might, yeah, unless there are any other questions, but I wanted to, I don't know, Emily, if this is okay about plugging the event. I guess that's probably our last Sexual Assault Awareness Month event related to Miami next Thursday. The Notebook, we've been doing a real life, REEL screening series. And so there'll be a screening of the Notebook next week for people to go through what the red flags are and consent and issues like that. So if anyone is interested in that, Emily could probably give you more information.
Yeah, we're very excited about this. The off-campus committee has been working with Women Helping Women most of the semester on this. So we'll all be there. And then I'll give more details out in the Zoom link for the virtual streaming.
Cool.
Yeah, if no one else has any questions, thank you, Casey. We really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Nice to meet you all. Bye.
All right. And with that, I will also take another motion to reorder the updates section, item A, Connor to now, since he has to like leave a little bit early today. If anyone would like to make that motion. We're just hopping around today.
I move that we reorder the agenda to put Connor next.
There has been. All right, there's been a motion to reorder business once again, and it's been seconded.
Aye.
Oh, all those in favor, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Aye.
Kathy knew what we were doing. And all those opposed. All right, so that motion passes. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Connor, who I told you all has been elected to serve in this position next year. So I'll turn it over to him to talk a little bit more about himself and his goals and everything. So go ahead, Connor.
Thank you. Thanks for reordering. I have my second vaccine dose action in a little bit, so gotta make sure I'm on time for that. But yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Happy to be taking over as secretary and chair going into next school year. The biggest thing that I want to focus on is building these relationships we have to make sure communication flows smoothly from students to administration to community members. That's kind of my top priority for this committee. You guys have been doing a lot of great work, it sounds like, so I keep that going and keep those relationships building. I don't have a ton to say, so if any questions, comments, whatever, happy to open it up and see if I can answer or throw my 2 cents in.
Why don't you tell us a little more about your major or where you're from and how you got involved with student government? I think that's really interesting, and thank you for doing this, and congratulations on your election.
Yes, thank you so much. So yeah, that's a good idea. So yeah, I'm a junior business econ major with an analytics minor, originally from Rochester, New York. So up Lake Ontario type of area. It's a little far from home, but I'm enjoying Oxford. And how I got involved in student government. So this was my first year as a senator. So I joined in September. COVID kind of got me involved in that type of stuff because New York had a very different approach to it than Ohio did, and kind of seeing the difference. I wanted to try and bring some of that. And then I worked on some renters' rights information in the fall, the Mask Ambassadors program all spring, passing out masks uptown. So that was kind of my signature initiative. But yeah, and then now I'm secretary-elect. So that's kind of how I got involved and a little bit about me.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Connor?
Congrats.
We're
Also,
ready for your leadership takeover in the fall. So, and we won't revolt.
I hope you have an excellent year. Good luck with Steve.
I'm sure it'll go fantastic. So.
And Emily, just the thought, you could introduce Connor, make a motion for his appointment as the SCRC chair in the fall.
We can do that.
Up to you
yeah.
right now, or that can wait until the fall.
I'm not sure what precedent had. I've never done one of these before, so whatever the
Live life on the
commission
edge.
would like to do. All right, I'll take a motion to do a motion to vote Connor as chair of SCRC starting in the fall of 2021.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint/elect Connor as the chair of SCRC starting in the fall of 2021.
And it has been- all right, so there's been a motion to elect/approve Connor as SCRC's chair in fall of 2021, and it's been seconded. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? All right, congratulations, Connor, for being elected SCRC's chair for fall of 2021.
We wouldn't mind hearing from you during the summer too.
I'll be sure to keep in touch with any information, and my email is always open. I'll get that to Emily and she can send it out. So feel free to reach out.
Wonderful. Does anyone else have anything for chair-elect Manley? Or
I would just like to say that this is very important, the position that you have, and to make sure you keep up your ties with Oxford City Council. and the other council committees, because you are the conduit that carries the information from the university to the students and the community, as the title says. So it's important that you be at things and explain what your position is, because the townspeople really want to be involved with the students.
Of course, yeah. I understand that. I'm looking forward to taking that on and hopefully doing a good job with it. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, Andrew.
Yeah, and Connor's going to be here presiding over SCRC at an interesting time, because we're going to have a comp plan rewrite this next year and a half. So it should be an interesting time to be a student here. And Connor, you will be one of the student voices with the comp plan redo.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask what a comp plan is very quickly?
That's the city's comprehensive plan.
Okay.
So there may be some strategic goals that are set during that process. There will be public meetings, looking at existing data, things like that.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Does anyone else have anything?
I think there's a conflict between when this Associated Student Government meets and council meets, like they're all on Tuesday night. And that's something you're going to have to sort out. But I know that is a little difficult.
Yeah, I'll look into that more and talk with council members and Senate and find something that works so I can be effective in both positions.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah, anyone else? Yeah, I'll just make a comment. I've worked with Connor all year. You guys are getting left in the best of hands. So he's your guy for everything. He'll work with you on everything that you want to work on. So no doubts at all. Nothing but wonderful things to say. So yeah, Megan.
I was just wondering quickly if the newsletter is going to be continuing to off-campus students, and if Connor will be overseeing that, or what that'll look like.
Yeah, it's definitely in the plans. I think it started very well. Want to keep that going. We'll see if monthly maintains or if it's a little less frequently, so we can have bigger articles, whatever it might be. And working also closely with other committees in ASG to make it as well-rounded as we can. But yeah, I definitely want to keep that going and keep making it better.
And Zoe, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I wanted to make a motion to thank and recognize Emily for chairing this committee.
Yay, second.
Officially. I don't know if that's a thing that can be done, but.
Yeah, so there's been a motion and it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hooray!
And all those opposed? Well, that's good. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I've really appreciated working with all of you, and the dedication of all of you, and your advocacy is so inspiring to me in this position. So it's been a great year, and I've been really thankful to work with all of you for our thoughtful discussions that we've had. All right. Does anyone else have anything for Connor? I know he has to head out of here pretty soon.
Laura, do you have any advice for him?
Do I have advice for Connor?
Yes.
Regarding how to handle SCRC?
Yes, what you bring to it and your voice in carrying issues.
Oh, well, I mean, sometimes it's good to give me a heads up if you are interested in certain topics, because some of it requires me pulling reports or gathering data, and I just can't do that. I do a lot of interviews, and sometimes these people wait until they are talking to me, and I'm like, well, sounds reasonable what you're saying, but I have nothing to back it up. And so I haven't gotten an opportunity. So that's my point, is like, just shoot me an email, say, hey, I think I want to bring this up. So just so you know, and then I'll start looking into stuff, do a little bit of research.
Good.
As far as how it goes with me, that's what I would suggest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not, I mean, I'm big on communication, so that's not.
Yeah, and they ask, you know, for my update every week or every other week, but it doesn't mean that the things that I think are worthy of imparting are the things that you are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Steve.
Laura has been so consistent and so informative to us, but unfortunately, we don't seem to have the same kind of support from MUPD for this group. And so I would like to encourage Emily and Connor to use some of the remaining time this semester to see if we can get that fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, anyone else? All right, and with that, thank you, Connor. Looking forward to seeing all the work that you do on the commission next year.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Now we will be sticking to the regularly scheduled agenda. Thank you all for being flexible today with all the jumping around. So with that, I will take a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting on April 9th of 2021.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from April 29th.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion to approve of the minutes from our last meeting, and it has been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed? All right, motion passes. Then moving, whoops.
I do have
Sorry.
a question. Who seconded that?
I did.
Okay, Josephine. Thank you.
All right, moving into reports. Laura, speaking of which, you can go ahead.
Well, so I know that you guys just mentioned about these stalking reports, and I don't look at that the same way. Stalking is a particular offense. We haven't had any but one, which was a private, typically stalkers know the offender, the suspect. And so there has been one incident that has been ongoing that we're dealing with, but that is a known person. I think the more concerning thing that the public has been in tizzy about on social media locally is strangers approaching, following, chasing, that kind of thing. So I did a little bit of research, and there's really only 2 offense reports that were made for like suspicious behavior. One was just a suspicious incident, and then one ended up starting off as a suspicious incident and ended up with an arrest. And I'll explain that. So the first was from, let's see, today's the 23rd. So this was from April 11th. And a female had reported that she was followed on the way back from uptown. This was at 3:15 a.m. And fortunately, a police officer was nearby at a noise complaint. She got spooked because she said that somebody was following her or chasing her. And fortunately, like I said, the officer was there, so she went to the officer for assistance. Officer immediately asked other officers to patrol the area, which they did, and were not able to find anybody. But which I appreciate that that officer wrote a report nonetheless, even though nothing was found. She really didn't have any description. And upon follow-up, she's not providing any more information and doesn't maybe there's not an interest in continuing the conversation with detectives. The other one was recently, it was 2 days ago at 2 p.m. and a female reported on behalf of someone else that this gal was being followed, and that he was yelling at her. And so that there was a police officer nearby. Again, we're just in the right places at the right time this last couple of weeks. And he identified the guy, knew him to have warrants, and the guy ran. And so then after a small foot chase, he was arrested. The thing is like, I looked for that report. I looked in other emails and such, and I couldn't find who that gal was. It is possible that that was someone he was with, but we don't know. But that's the way social media goes, is it kind of assumptions are made. And so I can't say one way or the other, but that was at like Campus and Chestnut. And the other offense, or the other incident I was talking about, was one block over and several blocks up. So what I'm thinking, it's possible those were the same people or the same guy. I don't know. That particular guy that was arrested on the warrants does live out on 27. So, and he has no car and he has no license, so he walks. So that, I know that that was implied in the parents' page, that this was on campus, and kind of like these townies or whatever they were referred to were kind of infiltrating campus. But I mean, yeah, it's on the edge of campus, but it makes sense where this guy's walking. Other than that, I checked other calls for service that were listed as suspicious over the last week, and they were just random. Things are never quite as one thinks. And just a side note, like my first 5 years of police work, I was going to a call and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to say. This is how I'm going to handle it. And then the call was never as I thought it would be. And so after 5 years or so, I'm like, I'll figure it out when I get there. And so these suspicious calls ended up being things like someone that got evicted and was packing up their belongings in the front yard, or someone digging through trash. There was one that was called in because he was wearing black clothing, and that was it. And then others that just had good explanations, a drunk idiot that was screaming for no good reason, things like that. So those are things that we don't do reports on, but we kind of, unfortunately, kind of discovered after being sent to that call what the nature of the problem was. But a lot of times that the person isn't around when we get there to find it out. So anyway, I'm not, I don't see a common thread in our incidents over the last couple weeks. I talked with Miami, a couple people from Miami, one in the police department, and they're not having any reports. So I think a lot of it is just talk that is growing and compounding. And sometimes the details might change once it's been told once or twice over. And it's the telephone game to some degree. Hopefully that guy that was arrested was responsible for both of those incidents, and he might, I don't know why he was yelling at that woman. Like I said, it could have been someone he knows, but you don't know if they're on drugs or if they're intoxicated or have a mental episode, which all can contribute to improper engagements with other people. So I'm not that concerned at this point in time with what we have been given. I did reply on the Miami parents page with some basic information to try to calm down parents' hysteria, but reminding people reminding those folks to tell their sons and daughters just to use common sense. And if something seems wrong and suspicious, call us and describe what is going on, why it's suspicious, and the description of the person whom you believe is suspicious. And then do that right away, and not a day later, not 3 days later, and not 3 weeks later, which is what some incidents, I know Zoe had mentioned something at McCracken Hall, and that was back in March. And it was just reported yesterday or 2 days ago. So that just makes it hard to follow up, and it makes it hard to catch that person to figure out what the story is. So just, timely reporting would be very helpful. But I think at this point in time, I think it's more public hysteria than it is in reality, which is good, Let's just hope it just stops.
Yeah, Zoe, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering too if it's potentially like maybe there were multiple incidents, but people weren't reporting them. And now that like amongst students, there's like a common description being shared. And so, I'm wondering if maybe people now are saying, oh, wait, this or that happened, and the person that I encountered matched that description. I should probably report it so it's not repeated. So maybe that has something to do with it. But there is definitely like one common description circulating among students.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Anyone else have a question? All right, thank you, Laura, for the update. And then I'm not seeing anyone from MUPD here. Oh, Steve, sorry, go ahead.
There we go. I just have to say I have to leave early. I'm sorry. So thank you, everybody. Always nice to hear what's going on and to work together.
Thanks, Steve. All right. And then, yeah, not seeing anyone from MUPD. So we'll move on. I guess I'll be ending with my updates today. So I just wanted to let you guys know that all of ASG's cabinet positions have been filled, except one, which is our secretary for the Treasury position, which will be elected this Tuesday here in ASG internally. And this will be our last meeting of the semester here on Tuesday. And so all those positions will be filled after that, going into the academic year and going into the summer. And then my next update is, at our last meeting, we talked about commencement ceremonies and strategies for making sure that behavior when visitors are coming into the community is in line with our COVID-19 protocols and guidelines that we've been following and is being respectful of the community. So in off-campus affairs, we've been looking at some of the strategies that you guys suggested last week to reintroduce our COVID-19 guidelines graphics that we made at the beginning of the semester, to place those on display at local lodging and hotels, as well as to write up something to post on the parents' Facebook pages, since we think that'll also be effective at informing parents of what's expected in the community, and just trying to keep everyone's best health interests in mind. And then my last update is, and I'll try to be quick here, I know we're cutting it close here on time. The COVID-19 ad hoc committee is in the middle of compiling its end of the semester report to give to ASG. So we're just focusing on off-campus compliance, mask ambassadorship, vaccinations, the different kinds of things that have occurred over the semester that have caused us to shift our strategies. We've seen a lot of improvements and eases in restriction, and are anticipating a lot more with summer and with the next academic year. So just keeping all of those things in mind in our report is what we're currently working on right now. And yeah, that is all of my updates that I have. And we have the community concerns built into the agenda today, but I feel that we have already covered a lot of concerns today, since we had a lot of big things just come up. So if anyone does have a concern though, feel free to raise your hand and share. But if not, then we can move on from that. So yeah, we can move into general announcements now. If anyone has any, yeah, Andrew.
So I sent out an email a few days ago with 2021, 2022 meeting dates. I can put those up on the screen if we need to, but if anybody had any questions or concerns or comments about those dates, bring them forward. Is everybody okay with those dates? Okay, I tried to be respectful of the student breaks. So, and when students are arriving, you know, with the loss of spring break this year, I want to make sure that we don't have any dates that conflict with the student breaks next year. I think that those are really important. The first meeting of the fall would be the end of the first week of school. So everything should be fresh, and the meetings line up really well with the semesters. And then we do have a month off in the middle of each semester. So from having an SCRC meeting. So I will go ahead and get those published early next week and get those sent out to you. The time of the meetings, you know, we've played around with the time over the years. We had them as early as 1 o'clock one year, but 3 o'clock seems to be the best time for the most amount of people. So maybe we should just keep it at 3 o'clock for next year. So I think other than that, I don't have anything else. Oh, Laura, go ahead.
Just curious. Right now, it will be assuming it's on Zoom.
I'm going under the assumption that we will be back in person in the fall. Now, the pandemic could change that. I know that there's talk about our public meetings going back in person this summer here. We're not expecting.
Oh, sorry.
We're expecting that the state legislature will not allow us to continue to meet like this past July.
Location, because I'm not sure else. Did we last have it at LCNB? Okay,
Yeah.
and that's not an option really anymore right now, right? I thought they were doing like rehab.
I haven't heard any updates on that location, but we do have, like, if Lane Library reopens to the Havocurse room, we may be able to have it there. We have some other options here in town. If all else fails, we could also talk to Kroger about using the bistro area, which should be newly remodeled by the fall. And Zoe?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any sort of conflict with it, but if you are allowed to do it on campus, student orgs get free like room reservations. So, I mean, the only issue would really be parking, but there's like, if, you know, depending on the time and if you could work something out where parking's not an issue, I think ASG, if they were willing to do it, could reserve a room for free and just have that regular reservation.
Okay, thank you. You know, we could continue doing these virtual if the state legislature allows that. But from what I was told, we have to follow the state rules. At least that's what we're going by with public meetings. So, all right, any other questions? All right, well, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Does anyone else have anything? Amy, yeah.
Just real quick announcement. Tomorrow, partnering with Oxford Police and the Coalition is Oxford will have a site for the National DEA Drug Take Back Day. So any unused, expired, over-the-counter or prescription medications, please bring them by the TRI building. You can just loop around. You don't have to get out of your car between 10 and 2, and we will accept those. So please spread the word and help clear out medicine cabinets and keep the environment safe. It's the environmentally friendly thing to do. So thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Anyone else? All right, not seeing it. Or Zoe, yeah.
Sorry, I will send an email with the graphic, but the Student Center for Diversity and Inclusion is actually doing an in-person event that DAC is helping with, and it's a poetry slam, so it should be really fun. It will be on Friday, I believe, 5 to 7:30. You do have to register, but I believe anyone can register. And it's outside. So I don't know if people know where Pulley Diner is, near Armstrong, but kind of between Armstrong and the Seal. And they're bringing in Heather Bird, who's a pretty well-known poet. So that would be a really cool way to, connect with students if you're comfortable doing so.
That's awesome. Thank you, Zoe. And yeah, since this is our last meeting, again, I really appreciate all the work of this commission this semester. It's been great working with all of you. And thank you for being flexible with me as I've been learning how to do this for a lot of the time. So I really appreciate everyone and you guys' dedication to both the students and the community here. The students really care deeply about the community. And I know that you guys are all such advocates for the community. So it's been really great working with all of you. And so with
Thank you.
whoops, sorry.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you guys.
Happy graduation to everybody that applies to, and good luck with life and everything from here on.
Ditto.
Yeah, thank you. And then with that, we will take a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion to adjourn and it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed? All right, wonderful guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for a great meeting.
Thank you, Emily.